Well, on Discovering Season 4, dedicated to original people, and we've got a special guest in today, Mrs. Jenny Lynn James. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, James. Thanks for having me today.
Definitely worth having you on. You've got a lot of history. You know, let's deal with like your timeline. First of all, you're a food scientist. You're an artist, a painter. I've seen your paintings; they're amazing. I've also seen you on Dragon's Den. Also, you're the world traveler, and also there's many more things like you're a songwriter. You're into music. You know, there's a whole lot. So I'm gonna have you start off with the timeline. You're also based in Mexico. This is where the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and also you were based in Toronto for a long time, and also Ireland, Trinidad, born. Anything else?
So I'll tell you a bit about about me. Well, I'm a self-professed Renaissance woman. So you know what they say, Renaissance woman. So I'm a writer, a singer, and an artist, you know, fine artist as they call it, and a food scientist by profession. So in university, I got a doctorate degree in food science and molecular genetics. I've worked in the food industry for all my life. I continue to do some contract work for the food industry. And because I worked in the food industry, it gave me the opportunity to travel a lot in my particular area of food science. So I worked with food manufacturers first, you know, like when I started work in Trinidad and Tobago, I worked with large food manufacturers there. And then when I went on and studied some more, I started working in the fresh fruits and vegetable industry in California. So I worked for a large company called Boscovich Farms, and they had farms all over California and in Yuma, Arizona, and in Mexico. And I was responsible for food safety programs and visiting all the growers and looking at their pack houses and their farms to make sure they handle food in a safe way to protect the consumer. Then after working with them for 3 years, I worked for Dole Food Company at the world headquarters in Westlake, California. And again, I was responsible for food safety programs, but with commodities like bananas, pineapples, melons. So I had to visit the growers in Central America, South America, wherever they were growing bananas and pineapples, and looking at the farms, the pack houses, reviewing their food handling practices for all the product that was imported into the United States and to Europe. So that gave me an opportunity to see countries like Ecuador. They had a whole port, Banana Puerto, where they would assemble all the bananas and ship them to Italy and all over Europe. And Honduras, Costa Rica, so many countries where the bananas and pineapples were grown. I had to travel there. Peru as well. Wow. So while I traveled for work, I would take a few days off, of course, and go sightseeing because it was an opportunity to be in these countries. And you can't miss an opportunity because I am a traveler at heart.
That's it. Totally relate.
I took the opportunity, yes, while working to see some of these countries. And so I do still work for the food industry as a consultant and a food safety auditor, where I go into food manufacturing plants and audit their facilities against internationally recognized food safety standards. And I do training for food scientists online. So there is a British organization that has set up a food industry standard, BRCGS, and many companies around the world are audited against this food safety standard. So I do training for food manufacturers, auditors, etc. I'm a recognized trainer for BRC. And that training, now with COVID, everything is done virtually. So that's one aspect of my life.
Interesting, but
you know, as I mentioned,
yeah. So interesting anyway with food scientists. I mean, I don't come across too many food scientists. So it's interesting.
We are hidden in the background.
Yeah.
But we keep the food safe for everybody out there, but we're sort of a profession that is behind the scenes, so people don't really know about us.
You're a person of many talents anyway. You know, there's many things that you're involved in, you know, like, I mean, how did you get into even being an artist? And was you a child painting all the time and drawing?
Oh, that was, I would say, a very fortunate mistake or accident.
A great mistake.
I was living in Ireland at the time, and I first worked for a large produce industry company in Dublin in Ireland. And then when I left that job, I had started my own business, first importing and reselling Caribbean food products to Irish supermarket chains and small food retailers.
Right.
And then
that
was between, let's see, 2004 and 2010, I lived in Ireland. First in Dublin and then in Waterford County, the sunny southeast as they call it. And I was selling my own brand of food products after a while. I know you've heard that I was on the Irish Dragons. Then I was promoting my brand of sauces, Caribbean style sauces, and the brand name was Bad Boy, Bad Boy Sauces.
Yeah, I just went on YouTube one time and I just seen Jenny Lynn Dragon's Den. I thought, wow, just watched it, and even like you've got a lot of charisma as well. How you speak, how you carry yourself, and I was really happy that you won. You know, so well you worked the deal out with them, and
yes, that program. Was great for helping to market my products, because I was making Caribbean style sauces and selling to Irish people, and that wasn't easy. Okay.
Yeah, well, I can imagine.
Because they like the meat and potatoes.
Wow.
So the program was good for marketing purposes. And but to come back to the art, I was dating an Irish man and he broke up with me, and I was devastated. And a friend of mine said, "Oh, go and do an art class, you'll feel better." And I said, art, all I know about is food industry, food businesses. I don't know anything about art. And my friend said, "Oh, just go, you do anything, you'll feel better." And so I took the class, and the artist was based in Waterford City, so close to where I lived at the time, because I was in Tremor, a seaside town in Waterford County. And so the artist was from Venezuela originally. And he said, "Oh, you're from Trinidad? We are neighbors. And he'd pinch my cheeks like this and say, 'We are neighbors.' And I was thinking, oh my God, don't pinch my cheeks."
Very close.
But anyway,
yeah.
So he gave me some things to draw, and I would draw them really quickly. And I say, "There you go." And he said, "Oh, amazing." He gave me some oranges to draw and a plant. And I told him, "This is very boring. I want to paint." And he said, "What do you want to paint?" I said, "Portraits in oil." He said, "That's very difficult for a beginner." I said, "Oh, I don't care. That's what I want to do." Yeah. And so he let me. He said, "Bring in some things to paint." And so I brought a Caribbean magazine with carnival photographs and different picture books that I had from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And he said, "Yes, just go through and see, show me what you want to paint." So I painted an image of Wendy Fitzwilliams. She was Miss Universe in 1998, a Black woman. And it was, you seldom at that time see a Black woman winning the Miss Universe contest. So she was from Trinidad and Tobago. And I told him, that's who I want to paint. And so I painted her, and I always say I will never sell that painting. It was my first. I'm so proud of it. I love it. So that was my first painting, and it started my art career, because I kept painting after that. That was 2009. So after I left Ireland in end of 2010, I moved to Toronto 2011. I continued painting and teaching myself. So I would just first started with oil paintings, and then I moved to acrylic, which is what I do now. Would you like to see some samples of my work?
Most definitely. I've seen a few of them, but you've probably got a lot I haven't seen. But let everybody else see, definitely.
Well, one that I will pull up, because I sold it last year, and it shows you a combination of my talents. So this is a painting of the Toronto Mendelson Choir. And I was trained in classical music since I was a child because my mom was a music teacher. She taught music at a high school in Trinidad. And since I was a small child, you know, she had taught me piano. She taught music for all the children in our neighborhood in Diego Martin in Trinidad. A lot of them took piano lessons from my mother. Okay. And so over the years, I continued with music. So now, no matter which country I lived in, even in Ireland, I sang with the Guinness Choir in Dublin, and they were a big choir like this one, and we performed with the RTE Symphony Orchestra in Dublin. Yeah. And this is a painting of the Toronto Mendelson Choir. You can see me in the back row here with a big afro. Not too many Black people in the choir. There was one other woman.
I was wondering then. Yeah. Trying to look out.
So just 3 of us in a choir of 120 people. Can you imagine? Yeah. But we represented our kind, I guess.
That's it. Talent always stands out.
Perform with the Toronto Symphony. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
We sang with the Toronto Symphony. And so this is a representation of singing the Handel's Messiah. Every Christmas time we would perform in a big concert hall. So this painting was sold last year. And it's one of those that I'm quite proud of.
Right.
Now, viewers can also see some of my paintings if you go to my website. Are you seeing it here?
Yep, seeing them all.
Right, so JennyLynnJames.pixels.com. So they're arranged in galleries. For example, this is the jazz gallery. And here you can see some of my jazz paintings, Jazz and Lindy Hop, 1940s jazz session, Ma Rainey, Mother of the Blues. So that movie came out with Denzel Washington last year. This one I really like. I'm going to pull it up because when I click on all the images, then you get a bigger view. So this one I call Pan Jazz Festival. So it has old jazz musicians who have passed on, like Manu Dibango, Hazel Scott, and some who are still alive. We have Arturo Tappan from Barbados, Len Buxy Sharp playing the steel pan, he's Trinidadian. Wow. And then a lot of my paintings, I like to show people enjoying the music. So you see them here dancing.
Yeah.
So this painting is in Trinidad now. It's available for sale. But I'll show you some
can I just ask
collections.
Could I just ask one question? What's the price of some of these pictures? Or are they all different, are they?
They're all different. It depends on the size.
Okay.
So this is some of my new work, brand
new. I've got the price
new.
On them there.
Yeah. So some of them you would see the prices, but this is influenced by new work is influenced by where I'm living at the moment. So at the moment, I live in the Yucatan Peninsula. Most of the population is of Mayan descent. So the original people. There are thousands and thousands of Mayans. So I have been trying to get familiar with the Mayan heritage, Mayan history and culture.
Well, I'm very
and so
aware.
A lot of my new paintings.
Mm. I was mentioning about
well,
we know that from history, like the Mayans are they're later than the Olmecs were supposed to be the indigenous Americans before, but they've got blood ties though, where the people have mixed with people who came from Asia later on. That's it.
Yes, and some people think the Mayans could be descendants of the Olmec.
Yeah, that's it.
At least they've inherited a lot of the, like carving jade from the Olmecs. They've inherited a lot of the Olmec practices.
Definitely.
So I'm trying to incorporate some of these ideas in my new paintings. The headdresses, I'd look at Mayan headdresses and get ideas for new paintings. So that's what some of the new work is about. Just looking at images of Mayan headdresses and costumes and painting my interpretation of them. The jaguar featured a lot in ancient Mayan religion, and also in the Olmec religion. The jaguar was revered.
The jaguar, definitely.
Yes. So that's why people think that.
I like that movie.
Mayans.
I'm sure you've seen the movie Apocalypto.
Well, bits and pieces.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but
yeah, very
it was
interesting.
predominantly Mayan heritage, but they did mix up some of the cultures.
Yeah. Was very
with
interesting.
Aztec. That's what I heard. I don't know. And I'll show you one more gallery here, some water scenes. So where I live now in the Yucatan Peninsula, there are lots of waterways and natural pools called cenotes, C-E-N-O-T-E. And so the cenotes are beautiful in color. They're all different. Some of them are open to the sky, and you see the reflection, you know, of the blue sky, and as the water gets the color from the sky and the light coming in, beautiful aquamarines and blues and all that. So this one was Oshman. They pronounce the X sh, because there is Mayan language is still spoken widely. That's right.
I think Mexico's one thing about Mexico, I think their culture, it's quite intact, very strong. You know, where you could go other parts of South America maybe, but that's one thing I did notice about Mexico. And a lot of them were not like brainwashed, a lot of them, from speaking to, because I went 2012. I remember the end of the world, the so-called, but I knew it wasn't. I just thought, let me go over and see. And he said, it's just a new beginning. And I was just happy and to hear it from their side. Anyway,
yes. I'm quite excited when I go to museums and I see Spanish, Mayan, and English. Mayan in particular on the description of places and all that, and rightly so, because, you know, if you're looking at a Mayan ruin, why should it only be in European languages?
Definitely, you're right there. Yeah,
description should be in Mayan too. So it's very exciting to see that, even if I can't read it. You know?
No, it's really nice to go somewhere with surviving history, you know, because it was definitely. Now
so this is me jumping into the cenote, having some fun there. Yeah.
Wow.
At the Oshman cenote. I even have a video of that, a little video clip, and I was going to play for you. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see now. You got the Olmecs site now.
No, are you seeing the video?
Oh, the video. I can see the video now. Yeah.
Yes. So this was at a cenote, and there I was jumping into the water. But you see the colors reflected from the sky.
Okay, bits of, not too much. Oh, you can see from the ground, yeah, from the water.
Yes.
Like metallic
and
color.
Every cenote is different, and there are hundreds of them all around Yucatan.
I see one in Chichen Itza, where it was like in a cave.
Yes.
It's like inside the cave and that.
So this one that I showed you is close to Chichen Itza, quite close.
Right.
But there are hundreds of them, and so I was fortunate to go and visit quite a few. Like this one, like the water is deep. It's blue because it's very deep, so it's a darker blue than some of the others.
I remember there was some in Chichen Itza. I'm not sure you visit. It's a place with giant steps. It goes about 100 steps. So I remember going to the top of them. But they said that they might knock it down a year later, which I'm not sure if they did, due to eruptions. It's not safe. They don't believe it's safe anymore, so they might refurbish it. But I'm not too aware if that's still standing.
Well, there are several routes with pyramids that one can follow. So you have Ruta Maya.
Yeah.
Ruta Puk. Last week we went Ruta Puk and visited 2 different archaeological sites.
Okay.
This one is Uxmal. And you see, this is the giant pyramid that you see when you walk in. Are you seeing this?
Yeah.
It's on the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Uxmal. So it's a big archaeological site.
Very big site.
Yes. And there are many buildings, not just this one, but many of them at this site. And so it's just fascinating to see how many cities the Mayans actually had. This one is called Caba.
Caba.
And it's off the beaten track. I like to go to archaeological sites where you don't see other tourists.
Definitely.
Because you have the place all to yourself. We had this beautiful place all to ourselves. And the carvings on the building, I'm going to try and use them in a new painting that I am working on.
Wow.
Because
Excellent.
the carvings are still very detailed. It's all masks, but I can't see it in this video, but masks with mouths open.
Right,
And
okay.
the details are still there, but it's as if people don't know about this site. So we had it all to ourselves and we walked around. Here you can climb up, because some sites, the very touristy ones, they don't let people climb onto the pyramids. But the small sites, you can climb. And so I like to go to some of those. Like this one, Shkambo.
Cambo.
So at Shkambo, I walked right up to the top because we could.
Yeah.
And very few people are there, you know. But it's a small site, very compact. And well, of course, your safety is in your hands, but it wasn't too bad. I just walked up to the top, and then the view is spectacular because you see all the plains all around. And this site is near to the ocean.
Right.
So they think, you know, it was one city where you had trade from the ocean coming in there. And it's a small site that most tourists will never know about.
Excellent. I mean, these are the places we've got to be visiting, and some people are not aware of these sites. So it's a fact of you've gone out and done your own research, which is excellent because that's what it's about.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing.
Oh.
I was really happy.
Okay.
I was really happy when you sent me a while ago the Olmecs sites, and you'd also sent me something about it was something around about 900 AD, and it was people who look different than the Mayans. You look more like Black people ourselves.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that's the one.
So I'm going to, let me show you, I'll close those screens. I'm going to show you some of the pictures. So since we've been here, and I'll tell you, your listeners or your viewers, I left Toronto last summer. I wasn't happy with the lockdown.
I wasn't myself.
Because we were locked down for 2 years, mind you.
Travelers don't fit with that.
Exactly. So we ran away.
Yeah.
And I should show you some pictures. We ran away Christmas 2020 to Ghana and spent a month over there. So would you like to see a few little pictures from Ghana?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Ghana.
Let me just, I will pull up a video from Ghana. Let me see. Let me find that.
Because to go December just gone, but well, unfortunately the visa couldn't get enough time, so settle for Cape Verde.
That's too bad.
But always the next time.
You will have to go another time. So in Ghana, we stayed in an area in Accra called Osu. But while there, we decided to go to the north. And I must say, I'm glad I did that because the north of Ghana is like being in a completely different country. It's, you know, in the south, they have more Christians. They love their churches, etc. But in the north, it was all Muslim, mostly Muslims with long robes. It was like desert country. And So we flew within the country, Africa World Airlines, from Accra to Tamale. Tamale is the capital city in the north.
How far was the
So
drive?
it's a small,
Did you drive? Did
it
you
was
say?
maybe 100, no, we flew on a plane.
Oh, flew on the plane.
Africa World Airlines. Yeah,
Okay.
Because the drive might have been 16 hours and
Oh,
overnight, and
wow.
I was prepared to do that. That would be a waste of time. So we
Yeah.
flew.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you get there and then you start exploring right away.
16 hours sounds a bit too long to drive. Yeah.
Exactly.
I've done long drives like 12 hours, but 16 sounds too long. Like,
yeah, and then,
get the plane.
I was advised that it could have been a dangerous drive overnight on the roads. So flying was quite easy. And when we got there, we rented a car. Now in Ghana, you can't just rent your own car and drive. The car comes with a driver.
That's it.
You're not allowed to drive yourself, which I didn't know because I've rented cars in other countries before where you just get your car and you take off, not in Ghana.
At least like
so we had to have a driver.
At least it's good to have a driver, especially, I mean, if they're on the level, they can take you to where maybe you can't find stuff yourself. The locals know where they're going. You know,
Well, yes, especially if there are not enough street signs and all that. Like in Mexico, it's almost like North America. Everything is well signed.
Well signed, yeah.
Posted, and so it's easy to drive here, I find, especially on the highways, not so much in the city, but on the highways, it's like any other developed country.
I remember the Mexican food was absolutely amazing, but where you are, you're explored in all different kind of foods of Mexican. I just had a little variety, but you must have tasted some good food out there.
Oh, well, in the Yucatan, their food is different to the Mexican food that I used to know, let's say when I was living in California and these places.
Yeah.
It's very different here. The Mayan food is mild, it's not spicy,
yeah.
And they don't use a lot of herbs like northern Mexico, close to the US border. The food there is spicy and they use a lot of cilantro and all kinds of herbs and seasoning, not here.
Okay.
So here, if they say they're doing roast pork, a dish called pork chook.
Yeah.
Roast pork is just a pork roasted. There's nothing on it. Maybe some salt.
Okay.
So for me, a Caribbean person, I'm used to cooking with a lot of herbs and garlic and onion and all that. For me, it's bland.
Yeah.
Most of the food here is bland. And so I didn't realize that everywhere you go in Mexico, the food is different. In Veracruz, we were near the coast and they season their food, so it tastes like what I would expect.
Wow. See,
but here it's very bland.
There's some parts of the Caribbean a bit like that though, where like Dominican Republic Barbados. I found was a bit bland. Cuba was a little bit bland.
Yeah. Oh, Cuba is bland. They don't even know. They don't even know about seasonings.
I don't think
they grow them. They don't grow.
Spanish influence
and Barbados
sometimes.
Too. We call Barbados Little Britain because their food is bland like British food.
Yeah. Not worse than bland food though.
Yes. So I'm going to show you a short video clip of Tamale. This was a tuk-tuk with a Jamaican flag and he was blasting Bob Marley music.
Okay.
And this was in the north of Ghana. Look at the mud huts in the desert with thatch roofs. So we didn't expect to see that. In the south, you never see that in the south of Ghana.
Wow. And
then traffic would stop for the goats and the sheep to cross. So this was a highway through desert country. And you've heard of shea butter. These are shea trees. And this is a Fulani hut. But you see these shea trees, they grow in the desert and in the north of Ghana. And it cannot be cultivated. It's grown wild and the people would harvest the fruit to make shea butter.
So with the north and the south, which one did you prefer? Which one? Even though they're very different, north and south, Ghana.
Well, the South would be more close to what I'm used to, you know, if you're living in North America for many years and you want your conveniences,
Yeah,
you'd
yeah, of
find them in
course.
Accra,
Okay, okay.
right?
Yeah.
But in the North, it was quite interesting and fewer foreigners. So it might be, it might be interesting to live there
I suppose that,
just for a short time.
yeah, yeah. Would you say it's more peaceful there? When I say peaceful, like when you get a lot of tourists, it kind of creates a different atmosphere. Now, in the north, would you say it's less touristy?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Even Ghanaian friends in the South, they told me, don't go there, don't go there. And I asked why. They had never been.
They've never been, so you can't judge then, can you, if you've never been?
It's desert, it's dry. And I said, so what's wrong with dry? Now you see, this is an old Muslim temple from many centuries old, and a baobab tree at the side there, at least 400 years old. I mean, they just kind of put on new paint now and then, but it's very old. And it's a style of mosque, a mosque from similar to what you see in Mali.
Oh yeah, yeah, they look similar, don't they? Timbuktu and them places, yes. And that, yeah.
Yes. So it's a very ancient mosque outside of Tamale.
Right.
And they say even the tree was like 800 years old, a baobab tree.
It's funny to even look at. It's funny to even look at like a desert in North Ghana, but I'm aware in northern Nigeria it's going into the desert. Is that connected to your Sahara
Muslims
Desert?
in the north of Nigeria.
So your Sahara Desert, is that connected to the Sahara Desert? This desert that where you showing me now?
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe. Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So we went to Mole National Park, a big park in the north. And there the baboons and the elephants roam freely, alligators, etc. There is a hotel in the park. We didn't stay there because I was terrified. The baboons there was one who was following us. I don't know if he expected us to feed him. But there were elephants at the watering hole, so we went closer to see them.
Nice, seeing some wildlife.
Yes.
Did you have much wildlife in Ghana? Is there much wildlife?
Well, not really. Yeah. Just at this park, they're protected.
Yeah. Then again, usually East Africa, South Africa has a lot more wildlife there. Yeah.
Yes, so we're in an open Jeep.
Where's this?
Okay, he let us come out the Jeep and then the elephant walked towards us. And then he said, no, get back into the Jeep.
Yeah, in case the elephant starts storming at you.
Yes.
Got to be very careful. And they're not there to move out your way any quick.
Right. Okay, so this is just a quick taste of Mole National Park, but it was well worth visiting. So anybody going to Ghana should check out the north.
Yeah.
And visit Mole National Park, drive around Tamale, the capital in the north. It's very different to the south. And in Accra, we enjoyed a lot of the club scene and restaurants, especially the area where we stayed in an Airbnb for a month.
Yeah.
It's an area called Osu. And so in Osu, you'd find more tourists, you'd find a lot of nice restaurants and clubs and all that. So during the pandemic, as I said, we ran away for a month. So that was good.
Great adventure. And you haven't looked back, you're still in Mexico.
Exactly. And because of that trip to Ghana, I realized that I just couldn't stay in lockdown in Toronto anymore. because we came back to Toronto. It was winter time, and I felt okay. I had to get out of that place.
Wow. Well,
And so packed up
interesting.
and moved.
Now, I see like a bit, I heard about Toronto, what's going on and that, and you know, I think you've done the right move anyway. And as a traveling person yourself, you know, the worst person to keep down, you know, we just like to go from place to place, of course. Yeah. So where are you up to now anyway? You hope to.
Okay, so in Mexico, I'll tell you, we're in the Yucatan Peninsula. Yucatan is a state, but some of the other states that we visited were Chiapas, which is mountainous.
Yeah.
So it's cool in Chiapas all the time, nice and cool. And most of the population there would be Mayan people, different Mayan tribes.
Yeah.
And we were also in Campeche, which is south of Yucatan. So a close drive, maybe an hour and a half from where I am now, Campeche. And we've also been to the state of Veracruz. So I know you wanted to see pictures from Veracruz.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Veracruz was the state where they discovered the Olmec heads.
Wow.
Right? And so we went to the capital, Veracruz, Heroica, which is a port city. So right on the port. And there, we did a tour. The tour guide showed us where they brought in African slaves in the past and where they shipped sugar and other stuff out from. So there's a big kind of garrison where they receive and ship out stuff right at the port. Now, the Spanish used the Mayans as slaves, so they didn't have to bring in as many Africans here as in other countries where they were colonizers. But in Veracruz, there is enough African history where there's one town called Yanga, and it's named after a slave who revolted and freed all the people who were enslaved, and the town was named after him, Yanga. I didn't have a chance to visit that town, but there is a statue of Yanga in the town. And in the capital city of Veracruz, it's called Harappa. We passed by the city hall, and there's a big painting of Yanga right at the front door of the city hall. I was so fascinated to see that, because in North America, Canada, the US, you wouldn't see an African hero immortalized in a big portrait at the city hall. I've never seen that in any city in the US or Canada.
Interesting.
But here in Mexico, because clear as day, they are proud of their African history. So proud that they would put this man's image on the city hall in the capital, Halapa. Can you imagine? I just think it's amazing.
Yeah, no, it is. And so with when you visited the Olmec sites, you were saying about the Olmecs.
Yes, so in Halapa, that's where we saw.
There's a lot of heads, in the Olmec heads in Mexico. I don't know how many is there's more than 20, is he, or more than 17?
I think there were about 17.
Yeah.
That were discovered so far.
Okay.
And let me pull up
because I know Dr. Renaud Rashidi, he's the only person, he said that to excavate every Olmec head.
Yes. So what I'll do, I'm going to show you, we went to the Museum of Anthropology in Halapa, and there we saw 7 Olmec heads. So they were brought in from different locations.
Right.
Right. So this is in the capital city of Veracruz. It's a beautifully curated museum at the University of Veracruz. It's such a beautiful museum because they put gardens inside. So the Olmec heads some of them are sitting in gardens surrounded by flowers that's in the building itself, like garden courtyards. As you walk in, this is the first one you see.
The first one, okay.
And if you look, it looks perfect.
And
it's about 3,000 years old.
Features very Africoid, unmistakably, come on.
Yes.
Anyone to think like
West African features.
most definitely.
Mind you, a lot of American anthropologists will tell you, no, it's not African, it's
Well, this
Asian.
is what we get. See, this is what we get all the time. This is another reason, like, where I kind of call it's like white approval you're needing. I mean, you can clearly see I've got eyes. Look at the features. It's got a wide nose. It's got thick lips. You have braids at the back. It's everything about it is a West African, or
That's
I'd say more West African than anyone on the planet.
Exactly.
But this is the problem.
And I did a comparison.
Yeah.
I will show you some pictures in a minute. When I just I'll go through these first, and then show you some West African photos that I took from the internet, and I compared face to face. I did that exercise.
Compare face to face. That's what you do.
I'll show you in a minute.
I mean, the Mayans don't look like that. The ones I seen, they didn't look at all like that, No,
they don't. Now, a few people in the state of Veracruz, like our tour guide, he had a full face and a full nose and all that. So he probably has African history. A lot of them would have, like a great-great-grandparent who was African. But they were so diluted now that even though, like when we went on a boat in a Mandinga Lake, look at the name of the lake. It's a Mandinga. Lagoon. Yes.
Mandinga Lake, is that the name? Wow.
Yes. And so that's in the name of the lake. We did a boat ride. And the guy who was managing the boat, taking us around, the tour guide said, oh yes, he's black. And I looked at him and I was like, where? So a lot of them have the African heritage they know about, but their features are not African,
Yeah.
But they know that they have African heritage, they tell you.
Interesting.
So when you come up to the head, it's huge. It weighs like a ton, big, and the details are still there. So even though it's 3,000 years old, nobody knows how they could have carved these heads from one single block of stone with such detail, you see, and nobody knows.
Well, they make it like a mystery, like as if aliens could have built them or something. Where it's clearly like, because you only got to look at ancient Egypt. You got to look around the world. The Indus Valley civilization, people had advanced civilizations, and people were more in tune with nature a long time ago.
Yes. And they had technology that we don't understand now, because they were able to build massive structures that last.
Definitely. And like the
because
way
now the buildings don't last too much.
Yeah.
Nowadays, after 10 years, our buildings start falling apart. But when you look at Roman ruins, Egyptian ruins, or the Mayan ruins, their buildings are still standing for centuries.
Well, that's how you know the test of a true building and architecture. If the old building's still standing after 4,000 or 5,000 years or something,
yes,
come on, tested the hands of time, definitely.
Exactly. So throughout the museum, they have they speak about where heads were located and different carvings. So, and then other civilizations that came after the Olmecs. So this archaeological museum was very interesting. You see, they show where they found various heads, and then also Olmec carvings, where they found them on the map.
Amazing sight.
This was another one. And all the heads have helmets.
Helmets.
So they speculate that these people were playing some sport or something.
American football game or something, because they got helmets on. Yeah.
Yes. Because they all have helmets. You see?
Yeah. Well, they had all sorts of games,
Yeah.
Definitely.
This was another one in one of the indoor gardens. And I matched up these faces with some Nigerian faces just for fun, just to show,
Show the proof.
Um,
That's it.
21st century versus 1000 BC. Just for fun.
1000 BC.
Yeah.
Now with all these
Or later.
is these because all the Olmec heads, the different dates, some of them are, they're not all the same dates. Like is this what there's ones is I remember looking at one that was 1500 BC, but they described it from it could be from 1000 to 1500 BC.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they said some of the heads were repurposed into altars and they put new carvings on it. So they don't know if the Olmec did this or somebody who came afterwards.
Okay.
And these are subsequent civilizations. So they came afterwards and there are lots of carvings. What I want to show you is, let me see. So not only there's Tabasco is one state, and then there is Veracruz where they found them. So they were in Tabasco, the state of Tabasco. Oh, so here they show 1500 BC.
1500 BC, yeah.
Yes, that's where they found some of the...
That's the oldest one.
Yeah, and then going up to other years.
It's interesting the period of time that the Olmec civilization is going on for.
What would you compare it to if you think of some of the African?
Definitely West African features. Most definitely, it could be Nigerian, people from Ghana, possibly people from Mali.
Yeah.
Mansa Musa. Well, this is before Mansa Musa.
Well, Mansa Musa was long after that.
That's long after.
900.
Yeah. So definitely, and then some people talk about the Nile Valley civilizations. But what we've got to remember is when people picture the Nile Valley, they like to believe that the Egyptians and there are different features. But if you go back further enough, you'll see the ancient people in Egypt similar to, well, what we call the Bantu people in Congo, Nigeria, right to East Africa. They're pretty much like 35% of the whole continent of Africa, the Bantu people. And there's linguistics that connect them. You connect them, the Congo, and this has actually come out in different sites now. Ancient Egypt connected to Congo linguistically, but that connection is Niger-Congo.
Oh.
This is Bantu. Bantu came out of Niger-Congo. And similar, the Mendi language in West Africa, sort of like Mandinka, the name, it's a bit like something similar.
Yes.
But unfortunately, the Bantu migration is really suppressed. Now, depending on who you're talking to or who you're listening to, they don't mind telling you that the Bantu stretch to Kenya from Nigeria. They'll allow us that much. They don't want us to know that they are the connection to ancient Egypt, because that's too much props to see that we span all over Africa. You can even look at the ancient Egyptian, not even Egyptian mummy, the oldest mummification in Libya, which they reconstructed, which is older than anyone in Egypt. So mummification is not the oldest in Egypt, you know. And also Nubia and Kush influenced Egypt. According to Dr. Ben Yosha Ben Yakinen, he says the civilization starts in Uganda, because you have all these different, you have the White Nile, the Blue Nile, and, you know, they're all connected. The oldest, and then you can deal with the oldest mathematical tool in Congo, the Ashanga bone, which is dated to 20 to 25,000 years ago. You also have something called the lumber bone, 35,000 years ago. So which part of Africa is the oldest civilization? We can't just speculate. People like to believe North Africa, but South Africa is very old. There's a lot of places.
Yes. Those, what's it again? Khoisan people. I forget the name.
Yeah, the Khoisan, you know.
Khoisan.
There's a lot of, like, we can't actually, unfortunately, this is why we have to do our own research, because we rely on other people who, like Dr. Ranok Rashidi said, they don't have our best interest at heart. So we've got to like dig out and find things ourselves. It's our history. And this is why all the time on this show, you've watched my show many a times, question I'll ask yourself, just like I'll ask everybody else, the importance of African history, not from the negativity, from the positive perspective of once when we ruled the planet to original peoples. Can you speak on how important it is? Well, I can clearly see how you're living. You know it's important.
Yes. Well, I'm forever seeking knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I always find, if we are told something, run in the other direction. That's
right.
my philosophy. Okay.
Great.
I don't take anything at face value, especially if it's pushed into my face. I think, oh, why are they doing this? So I go in the opposite direction in search of the truth. And that's how I live.
Excellent.
Because
don't let people impose. If something feels forced upon you, it's not right, because it shouldn't be forced upon.
Yes. Exactly. So, but what I'm quite impressed at the way the Mexican government is putting money into discovery and promoting
excellent
indigenous history, ancient history. And I've just I've been to 1 or 2 museums. There's many more to see. I still want to go back to Veracruz, to San Lorenzo, because there are actually pyramids there that they say are constructed by the Olmecs.
Excellent.
So I want to go and see those, and the museum there with more Olmec heads. So that's on the list, San Lorenzo.
So far, how many Olmec heads have you visited so far? Did you say 7 or?
Well, this museum had 7. This one they say is female, because they looked at the features. They say the softer features, and they believe this head was a woman's head. All the others are male.
Okay.
So that was an interesting deduction.
This one?
This looks like an alien. That's what they said. I don't know why. Because they said the features were like human, but not exactly. But there I am in between 2 heads.
Amazing.
And when security wasn't looking, I touched to see if there was any energy in the head, ancient energy. We're not allowed to touch,
Well, you know what, sometimes
I was tempted.
You can feel the energy.
Tempted.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't have to touch. Sometimes just being in the presence of these things, what ancestors have built, that's enough. Sometimes you can feel you can feel the spirit and the energy. And it was a calling. It was definitely a call. And I remember when you first visited them, I was saying to you, you've got to see the Olmecs while you're there, especially the time you've got in Mexico. It's definitely, I relate to you 100%. It's about go out, research, explore for yourself. Don't listen to what people feed you or oppose on you. We're free people, free spirits. We don't actually have a religion. Well, I don't actually have a religion. I just connect spiritually as a free spirit. And
exactly.
Connecting to different
the next
cultures.
thing I run away from organized religion. Leave me alone.
Yeah, that's it. Just let us live in peace.
So
but very interesting. And it's amazing some of the work you've done in that. And it's about. I appreciate you've made the contribution to go and visit these places. Some people just interested go to the beach, nightclubs, whatever. Watching the football or something. But no, I definitely appreciate and I know there's more to come. There's definitely more to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing that was interesting, now the Olmecs did a lot of carving in jade.
Jade.
And they're quite revered for jade carvings.
Jade carvings.
And one interesting fact that we learned, they like to carve babies and children. And our guide was saying, after archaeologists examined a lot of these carvings, they said they felt they looked like Down syndrome babies.
Wow.
And it seems like the Olmecs celebrated Down syndrome babies for some reason, maybe because they were peaceful, but nobody knows. But there are a lot of carvings of these babies, and you know, the eyes and all that. Now they're recognized as Down syndrome babies. So that was an interesting fact.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Nobody
Wow.
could explain, you know.
Yeah, it's okay. It's most
This
definitely.
one
Yeah.
has a lot of erosion, but most of them are not eroded like this. They're in good condition, you know. All right, so these are some pictures from the Halapa Archaeological Museum. Fascinating place. If you ever come to Mexico, you must go to this museum. You could spend a whole day there because there's so much to see. And not just the Olmecs, but other civilizations.
Other civilizations, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, Aztecs, Zapotecas.
Aztecs, got Toltecs and all. There's a lot of names,
yes.
isn't there? Yeah.
And some gruesome images too, you know, like the winner of the ball game, you know, it was kind of like basketball, where they would use their hips to throw the ball into the ring.
Yeah.
And the winner was skinned alive, and his skin was worn by the high priest. And this is a carving of somebody who was skinned alive.
Skinned alive, he was.
They took off the skin.
Took his skin off.
And they would feed them these mushrooms to make them kind of Thai before the skinning process and the beheading and all of that. And the family was, you know, it was an honor. And this was the winner of the ball game. So, you know,
I mean,
it's kind of some gruesome history.
Sometimes you look back at ancient civilizations. I mean, at the same time, you know, sometimes looking like, well, you look like you also might be doing some crazy things as well. I mean, something, I'm not going by the movie Apocalypto or just from what the Western media's talked about, but just looking at particular sites and particular people doing crazy things, some of them, but at the same time, there's always a bit more to it. You know, you could have been at war,
Yes.
or I'm talking, where I was going with it, as like sacrificing, sometimes you do it into crazy human sacrifice and that.
Now I want to show you this.
Yeah.
The pyramids and temples were back in the ancient times covered with stucco and paintings. And of course, over hundreds of years, the stucco washed off. But in this museum, they saved some. And I want to show you this because they're actually, you know, they had paintings of what was happening in the day at the time. And there are images of people with black skin and people with red skin.
Wow.
You know, different color skin. So that shows the presence of African people, you know, 900 years ago, before the Spanish came.
900 years ago. Okay.
Long before the Spanish.
So this
I think this was 900 AD.
900 AD. Okay. So obviously definitely before Columbus and definitely before the transatlantic slave trade.
Before all of them.
And it's got people painted as black people. Also, you've got different other people.
So they had different kinds of people living here.
Different types of people living there in 900 AD.
Yes, all getting along, doing whatever they had to do. So I actually have a video of that. I'm going to see if I can pull it up and share it, because I found that quite fascinating. So let me see if I can find it and show you that video. They used to put stucco and then paint. Nope, that's not it.
Yeah, wrong one.
just a minute.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What the hell's that? Wrong picture.
Oh.
He's not an Olmec, is he? Yeah.
Please let me know if you see in the video.
Yeah. I see tons.
You see in the video?
No, I can't see it. I can't see it because what I can see now is a bunch of pictures.
Okay.
That's what I can see now.
So I have to find, I'm going to try again I have to open the video and then share it. Let's try one more time.
You know what it, sometimes it's technology, modern technology. It's not as reliable as the ancient technology. Yeah, so anyway, like, because, you know, we keep it going as you're finding what you're finding. Yeah, so just the whole importance of African history, and also this whole season 4 is dedicated to original peoples, and that's wherever we are in the world. I'm sure you're aware of the presence of indigenous peoples globally. I showed you, because last time I did a Zoom with you myself.
Yes.
And I was showing you the people of Asia, the indigenous peoples in the rainforest, the mountainous areas, like Philippines, yes, Thailand, all them places and that. And that's why I dedicate this to original people. And the reason why we came with that, because, you know, there's always a lot of wordplay when people want to describe us. So when they say describe us, we get told our history is Black history. But at the same time, if you look at other ethnicities, they wouldn't say, an Indian wouldn't say brown history. He'd say Indian history, Chinese say Chinese history. You know, we have to like deal with lineage, because when we just celebrate Black history, what it bases it on is whatever happened after the transatlantic slave trade. That's what it basically means.
And nothing before that.
Yeah.
So it is kind of artificial, really.
It is. That's why I come with the title Original People, because that is a fact. There's no argument that African people are the original people, and we're in different places in the world, whether we left as free people, or whether we were talking to the transatlantic slave trade, or even the other slave trade, the trans-Saharan slave trade as well, where Arabs were taking Africans, times when the Turks were taking Africans. So, you know, we've got a long history.
But then Africans also explored. And what I learned recently from one person who moved here, just like me, a nomad like myself, she said, you know what's called the Dark Ages in Europe?
The Dark
Ages. When the
church
pretends that there was no history in Europe, that is when Africans were actually rulers in Europe. That's right.
The Moors civilized
them. They call it the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
And because if you look at Germany, there are quite a few, there's one brand of beer that has the image or the profile of an African man. It's an old beer from way back, that brand name. I can't remember the name. And then also German dolls from centuries ago were African. Like with black skin. So there were Africans throughout Europe in the so-called Dark Ages. And then the Catholic Church sort of covered that up, and then they had the Renaissance, you know. So Africans were in Europe way back, but we don't have that history. We haven't, at least it wasn't taught in schools anyway.
Definitely never not taught in schools.
The only thing we have taught about.
And when you're watching a movie, you might watch an old movie, and what they do, they'll show, you might see a Black person in Europe on the movie, before slavery I'm talking about. And they'll just make, sometimes you wonder, like, well, what's his role? But then it's all tied into the Moors, isn't it? You know, there's a whole lot more to it. And they were all over Europe, different places. Like you said, Germany, even in Holland, because you'll see a lot of them celebrate. I've seen in Holland when they have the red hats on and they try to take the painting themselves. That's all connected to the Africans who came, but they don't want to.
Their ancient history that they've forgotten.
Yeah, everything like the coat of arms, it's all connected to the Moors, and there's so much to it. And then when we say the Moors, we go back to ancient Africa. I mean, when we're dealing with, because I don't want to talk about the Moors as if they're the separate people than other Black people, because that's where we get confused about the Moors, as if they were some sort of separate people, which they were basically African people, and we get African people. They went all over the planet, and you know, that's just basically a Spanish word more.
Yes.
That's always it's a
I've been
Spanish
to
way.
Poland a few times.
Yeah.
And every Polish house at the front door has a picture of the Black Madonna and Child.
The Black Madonna and
Black
Child in
Mary
Poland.
and
Yeah.
Black Jesus. Every house.
Every house
And
has
so
it in Poland?
when I was there, that's
Wow.
right. Right
Wow.
at the front door. Black Madonna and Child. Madonna Charney, every house. So when I was there, I asked, well, where did this come from? And they said, well, they have this heritage that the Black Madonna and Child saved the country from a particular invasion. So we went to the Yasnagora Monastery to see the original painting of Black Madonna and Child, which was saved, and they say it saved the country when it was one of the 1,000,001 invasions of Poland. But this one is quite revered. So we went to the monastery. And as I walked in with my video camera, they had First Communion happening in the inner sanctuary. Nobody could actually go there, just the priest. And they had small children who were doing First Communion. And the priest turned around and he saw me, probably in his first time in his life, he was seeing an actual Black woman besides the painting of the Black Madonna. He said, "Hutch, hutch, hutch," which means come in Polish. So I was able to walk into the inner sanctuary and take pictures, and he was excited to see me. And it was fascinating. Now the holy, people would come there on their knees. They would go all around the shrine on their knees, but they were not allowed to walk in. But they let me come in because I was probably the first Black woman to visit the shrine at the Yasnagora Monastery. I always tell people that story.
That's
because, first of all, I didn't expect to see a Black Mary and Jesus. But every household.
Every house as well.
That's
I actually watched a program on YouTube the other day, and it was showing you people visiting museums in Russia, and the Black Madonna Child they seen in that.
Yes.
Also like Poland and that. Now, when you ask them, these Black people, they were in denial of that. They weren't believing that they were Black. All excuses they were making. They're making all excuses.
Forgotten
they've rotted away, or the patents come off them, or they were full of excuses. But how did you, from your research, how did you find it? Are they aware of these were Black people, or from what you found out?
They have forgotten the history, I think.
Yeah,
but
people
in
forget
Eastern
it.
Europe, you would have Black Madonna and Child, and then further west you go. By the time you get to the UK, the Madonna is white, okay?
Yeah.
But in Eastern Europe, it's always darker skin, always.
Yeah.
And the further west you go, the image changes, and then it becomes whitewashed.
I mean, when you can clearly see the image of it's Black, when you can see it with your own eyes, there's just no arguments about it, but it's still, people can lie with the images right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, but I'm still fascinated that to this day, in the 21st century, they still celebrate Black Madonna and Child in Eastern European countries.
See? And that's
so that hasn't changed. They may have forgotten where it came from. That's what I think.
I think
but when we celebrate it.
As we come more into the West, it seems like it changes the religion. It's more, how can I put it, less strict. Like when I say less strict, I mean, if you want to follow, it's like I'm speaking to an Orthodox Christian, how many times fasting a year, vegan. There's a whole lot of rules, if you could say that, and a lot of positive things. Yeah. That's all. It's all positive. Like, I'm not trying to say, well, this religion or that. I don't pick none over the other. At the end of the day, I just stay spiritual. I believe in, a divine creator, supreme being. I don't like to make a likeness. I don't want to make up a name, because it's more what you can feel than what you can see or comprehend sometimes. I judge by the feelings.
That's true.
And our consciousness, most definitely. But I'm not sure, how long have we been going for now, Henry? I can't even see the time.
Well, I managed to pull up the video.
Can't even see the time.
If you want to look at this for a few minutes,
this
is from You see one figure there with
that stuff
dark
was
skin?
rolling. Yep.
And so this is only stucco that was salvaged from a pyramid.
Okay.
The pyramids were brightly colored back in the day. Now we just see stone. But in the past, they were covered with stucco and paintings, right?
Yeah.
And you can see all different people with different skin tones. These were the darker ones, actually painted with black skin.
Black skin, they painted. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
All over the place,
So
isn't it?
they're showing all the people. You
Excellent.
see?
Yeah. And
So
this is how we need to do it.
It's quite interesting.
Now, I appreciate you going out there and giving us this information, because you've actually, you know, it's shown the proof. You're in the museums, you've got the footage there, and it's educating a lot of people as well. Now we're coming there to the end of the show. Have you got anything, the last thing you want to say? Only because time goes so fast.
I would like the viewers, they can check out my YouTube channel. It's called Travel with Jenny Lynn.
Travel with Jenny Lynn.
Way more footage. Yes, you will see a lot of visits to the various pyramids.
That pictures come back up, Jenny. The pictures come back up of, I don't know who he is. I don't know where he's from.
Okay. But yes, so if you go to my YouTube channel, you will see lots of videos of travel, and you'll see more of my adventures throughout Mexico and Africa.
Subscribe to the channel.
So it's called Travel with Jenny Lynn.
Travel with Jenny Lynn.
That's it.
Okay.
You will see various all various places that I've visited: India, China, Japan, etc. on the YouTube channel. So take a look. Excellent.
Well, anyway, we're coming to the end anyway, but it's been an excellent talk today. We've learned a lot about you. You've interviewed me before now. You know, I'm exchanging a favour right back. And then soon we'll be doing our return project coming up. Also, I want to thank you very much, Jenny Lynn. This is James the Bow on Discovering Season 4, dedicated to original people. And big thanks once again. It was definitely all worth it.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Very
I
much.
enjoyed chatting.
You take care.